I broke the screen on my phone, and it's not a great watching surface right now. But if I have to watch it on a screen that's like not really great color anymore and crack running down through the middle, I'm just not going to watch it. Hey everybody, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review. Going to be doing something a little special this time around, something a little different, and I know that seems to be kind of the norm now, but hey, here you go. So a few episodes ago, I was doing reviews of Apple TV shows, and I know that I said I wasn't going to do many series, that I was going to try to stick to movies, but things are getting a little desperate because, not many new movies are coming out. And I spent a little time going through older movies and, maybe some classics, and some of that are my favorites, but now with Apple TV, I found some new series I could go through and I wanted to share those with you. And this series is going to be similar, but not exactly the same. I wanted to talk about some Quibi series that I've had the opportunity to check out. And if you haven't heard about Quibi yet, because, you're like most of America, well then this will be a little informative about the platform as well as the programming on it. And I do want to say for those of you listening on the podcast form, this might be the episode to head on over to YouTube and check out. It's going to be an audio-visual kind of form with some clips and some pictures and some examples that it might just give you a better experience if you're watching the video. So I'm going to start off this short run of episodes about Quibi by talking about Quibi, because for a lot of people, they have no idea what the platform is, let alone about any of the content that's on it. And it's really hard to talk about, the shows and why you might enjoy them or why you might not enjoy them if you don't understand the platform that they're on. So in this episode, we're going to stick mainly to the platform. That's why it's an extra special episode. And then in future episodes, we're going to talk about the actual shows, the content that's available on it. So let's get started, shall we? So if you have heard of Quibi, it's likely that you've only heard about it in the past few months, especially since we've been caught in quarantine. It's taken off, if you can call it a takeoff, since that time. But the history of Quibi goes way back to August of 2018, when Jeffrey Katzenberg, who is the founder of the platform, introduced the idea of new TV. After getting a round of investment, kind of those first initial investors, and bringing on Meg Whitman as CEO, he changed the name from New TV to Quibi. And then they started about with looking for more investors to produce content, some partners, and in the end, over the course of 2019, they found investors and found partners in a lot of the major studios, a lot of the major production companies, and places all over the world. Now, Quibi is named Quibi because of the way that they make the content and that they serve the content to you. Quibi is short for Quick Bites. Quibi, Quick Bites. And that's because episodes on the platform are usually around 10 minutes long. This was made to try and get in a younger demographic, the demographic that likes to use TikTok, as we've kind of learned here in quarantine, and the ones that are on their phones all the time. As it was idealized, Quibi would be a mobile-only platform. You wouldn't be able to see the episodes anywhere else. And the short bits of them were meant for commutes, like riding in the car on the way to school or on the way to work, if you're not driving. And hey, if you're waiting for a bus, if you're waiting for the subway, if you're on the bus or the subway, or if you're in, a doctor's office waiting to get called, it would allow you to watch an entire episode of something in that short period of time. So I thought in the fall of 2019, and I actually signed up to be one of the early people who got access. And all you had to do was give them an email address, and you were going to get free access when the platform dropped. In fact, you got the first 3 months free, and it would just let you try out the platform and see what was on there and see whether it was something that you would enjoy. And I followed the news. I followed it all the way through the end of 2019 and into 2020. And now I realize that I am probably in a different world than most people. The term Quibi, the platform Quibi, is talked about a lot amongst the people at work, amongst the people that I know, and friend of the show Corey kind of brought it to my attention that I'm the only person who really knows or talks about that platform in his life. And that's true for most of the people that I know outside of work. But at work, we're talking about it all the time. But also at work, we're talking about TikTok as a platform. TikTok, of course, is the app formerly Musical.ly, that is really based in the young youth, young teenagers to middle teenagers, and it's really for them, even though during quarantine adults have kind of invaded. So because I have that focus at work, I think maybe I'm just a little more in that world than other people are. And it's strange, but it also gave me a chance to be an early adopter, and, nothing I like more than being a hipster about new content. Quibi got 1.7 million downloads in its first week, but it very quickly fell out of the top 50 in the iTunes store. Now, this could have been a function of the world that we're living in and Katzenberg and Quibi pushing forward with release, or it might just be the way that people get their media and that they miss the mark. But I'll get into a little bit more of the content in a bit. In my mind, I do want to blame the pandemic more than I would anything else. And here's why. The platform was really meant for that, like I said, the commute or being at the doctor's office or being places where we have to sit and wait, and having that short form 10-minute content could really help out. But when it dropped in April, we had been stuck inside for about a month. And up until now, we are still kind of stuck inside. And we're about to be stuck inside for longer, it looks like. So basically, the reasoning behind the platform and why it might be popular just isn't there. But they went ahead with the release anyway, kind of hoping, I assume, that the content would make up for the fact that the way you might consume it has changed. And when I first started watching on Quibi, you could also stream it via Chromecast, or I guess Apple TV or Aircast, whatever it is for Apple products. You could stream it to your television. So although I'm watching it on my phone, it's coming through my phone, I'm actually putting it up on a large display. But sometime after the release, they took that ability away. And I'll have to say, when that happened, most of my Quibi watching went away as well. Because right now, just before quarantine, I broke the screen on my phone, and it's not a great watching surface right now. But as long as I could cast it to my TV, well, it didn't really matter. I liked the content, and I wanted to check it out more. So as long as I could watch it somewhere else, it was fine. But if I have to watch it on a screen that's like not really great color anymore and crack running down through the middle, I'm just not going to watch it. Now they have changed that, and they've brought back the casting feature. And rumor has it that the Quibi app is actually going to be popping up on Roku and Apple TV as well, so that you can watch the content on your TV like most apps. That kind of changed the idea behind Quibi, because it's not just a mobile platform anymore, but it also kind of gives me the sense that the leadership at Quibi is rolling with the punches and the times. If people are going to be stuck inside and they can watch a YouTube video for 10 minutes or have to be stuck on their phone for 10 minutes, they're going to watch the 10-minute YouTube video. Why not make that great content that you've already produced available on the TV? But by June, Quibi was on track for 2 million subscribers, which was far below what they had projected of 7.4 million in the first year. And by July, they had converted only about 8% of the free users that had gotten in early to paid users on some sort of plan. Now, admittedly, I am one of the 8%. That's why we're even going to have this conversation. But I do think that there is some content that's worthwhile. The question is, can they keep it up? It looks like they have some new content planned and stuff will be coming, but it's going to be hard to keep me paying for yet another service if the content's not there to support the price. So that's the history of Quibi. What about the app itself? Well, much like any of your other streaming apps, whether it's Amazon Video or HBO Now or Go or Netflix, you can open the app right on your phone in your usual menu, just like you normally would. But when you open it up, you get a bit of a different experience. Now, if you've never used Musical.ly or TikTok, this might be completely foreign to you. But having used TikTok and being a regular TikTok user, and you can find me on TikTok, @RobertNCheek. I don't post very much, but I like to think the stuff I do is pretty funny. But if you're familiar with TikTok, you'll notice exactly what this platform is showing you. It's showing you essentially the TikTok screen. Now, the videos don't start to play automatically. It's just more of a cover for whatever show you're looking at, but it allows you to scroll up and scroll down with a cover that basically covers the entire screen, and it gives you an idea about the episode. Here's just a screenshot with the title and a little bit about that show. And you can go down and look through, and much as I said earlier, there's a lot of different content on Quibi. You have completely original content, shows that were shot just for Quibi. They've done a really great job of finding old MTV shows and bringing those to the platform as well. I mean, stuff like Punk'd and Singled Out. They also have some news programs like BBC and Vice, and then they have some like exploratory stuff like, hey, you want to learn about this thing? Here's a great variety of things to learn about. Most importantly, when it comes to relating to, I guess, younger people, they have content that you probably wouldn't find on any of the other platforms, and that's made by young creators. A lot of creators who are people of color and who are in the LGBTQ community. And for a lot of them, it seems like they said, hey, here's some money, go make a thing. And that's kind of exciting. I mean, I am not a person of color, nor am I a member of the LGBTQ community, even though I am an ally. And the idea that a platform would just say, hey, we kind of like what you're dishing out to us. Here's some money, go make something fun for us. That's fantastic. Now, the original programming is something else. That is a little more like your HBO. It's a premium cable. An example of this is Most Dangerous Game. The producers got approximately $1 million for that show, not the production, but just for the show itself. And then they went out and shot what was essentially a premium cable show. And it was done very, very well. But that's tying up a lot of equity in a show that may not be for everybody. And not for everybody is really going to be kind of the theme here. They made an app and a service that was focused on young people like TikTok. It's your teenagers, your tweens, but the content that's on there doesn't seem to be focused on teenagers and tweens. And that's very confusing for me. Now, I know that a lot of adults are getting more familiar with TikTok and that maybe they're going to be more comfortable with this platform, but I would feel like if you're making it focused on that age group, that you would want the content to be focused for them too. In the end, I kind of feel like anyone 12 to 16 who's looking through the show variety isn't going to find a lot that they might be interested in. Now, there are some exceptions. I do think the MTV shows are kind of evergreen. Like, kids will always love them. I loved them when I was a kid or a teenager, and I think that teenagers today would love them. Like, Singled Out, yeah, sure, that's fun. And Punk'd is great just for a laugh, and especially in a 10-minute format. And there are some other interesting, like, reality-based shows. I didn't watch a lot of episodes because it's not my thing, but Chrissy's Court with Chrissy Teigen, I can see why teenagers and tweens would really like that show. And, if they want to be informed, there's a way there's one group that breaks down 60 minutes of news into 6 minutes. And it's like, hey, don't stick around for the whole news hour. Here's what you need to know. And BBC does something similar where it's like, here's the highlights of the news, and we're just going to hit you real quick. It's almost like Snapchat and the way that they do stories on there. Like, here's 10 seconds. We're going to fit everything you need to know in 10 seconds onto the next story. Now, they do a lot of those back to back in a single episode, but that's kind of how it feels. And it's like that, you're bordering on what your kind of goal demographic was. But when it comes to some of the other shows, I just don't see it. But again, while you're navigating the app, it's super easy to use, especially if you've been using any apps like it. The main screen, you go up and down, and you can kind of check out the different shows. It allows you to search for a different show. Here, I just searched for the show Run the City, which is one of the shows I checked out, and you're going to hear a review about that in a few weeks. But you search for the show, and it takes you to, I guess, its homepage, and it's a page that's dedicated just to that show. You can see who's in it. In this case, it's a documentary, so, it's a cast of regular people. But you can kind of get more details about it and see if you want to check it out. And if you started it, well, it lets you kind of find out where you were and continue. Now, one thing that Quibi does have a problem with is keeping track of where you are. When I close and I open, when I'm watching kind of binging episodes, if I watch back to back to back to back, it has a problem with forgetting where I was, and I kind of have to remember. Now, the episodes are marked at the bottom, so it's like, hey, you've watched half of this episode, and I know I should pick up there. But if I watch 3 in a row, it will sometimes say, hey, you're 2 episodes back, and I'm not. And when I start the new one, I'm like, nah, I've seen this one, go back. And I got to figure out which episode it is. So be wary of that if you decide to use it. But from the search screen, you can look for topics, which is kind of like a hashtag, and everything's kind of grouped together inside of these topics. So you can find those. Look for a particular show by title. You can search by the star if you know the star of the show. You could look for Anna Kendrick here and find Dummy, which is, again, another one that you're going to hear about in a few episodes. And again, if you swipe right or left, you go in between these lower menu options, or you can press on the menu at the bottom. The next one to the right is following. Now, this is one that I'm actually kind of glad that they have, because they do promote that they have new stuff coming all the time, and there's new shows due out this month, next month, all the way through the summer. But I don't want to have to remember what that show is. Now, it may suggest it for me, who knows, but until it gets a good idea of what I like, maybe I just want to be notified. So you can actually follow the shows, and when a new episode comes up, if I'm watching on the day it releases, or when a new show's coming up, I'll be reminded here on the following screen. And I can kind of go through and say, hey, I thought I wanted to watch this, but I don't. Or, this series isn't really what I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to turn my follow off. And that way you don't get notified about new episodes. But again, because it's focusing on mobile, it pushes those notifications to your phone to say, hey, a new episode of Most Dangerous Game is out. Don't you want to watch it? And that I do kind of like, because there's a little bit of playing what do we have new to watch that we do in my household? Which is like, all right, so it's Sunday night, but it's Sunday night at 7. So that means The Shy's new episode. Oh, wait, no, The Shy ended. So we're waiting for a new season of that. Perry Mason. No, it's too early for that. That's not going to be on the platform yet. What else can we watch? And like, you're playing a guessing game of trying to remember what your shows are and when they're going to be available. With Quibi, it pushes that directly to you, so you're going to know. And finally, of course, your download screen. You actually can download episodes so that you can watch them. This is great for if you're going to be, not have service, or if not have great service, or if you like to download on Wi-Fi, not stream it so that it's taking up your mobile data. I have unlimited data, like truly 2002 grandfathered in unlimited data. So for me, it's not a problem, but I always forget that everyone else I know basically hops on Wi-Fi as soon as possible. So for that, great. Download whatever episodes you want to watch, and then you can watch them anywhere. And they'll be stored right there on the main screen. Again, it's just a swipe away. Another great thing about the app is the simplicity. Like I said, on the main screen, it's really just kind of a For You page, which again, seems a lot like TikTok. It's making suggestions on stuff it thinks you're gonna like. I've watched a few things, so it's actually making not bad suggestions based on that, but I've also watched a lot of things, so maybe there's not a lot of stuff it could still suggest to me. So, the For You page can be hit or miss. That's true. When you're first starting out, it's probably going to be a miss. And when you get like me and you've watched most of the content, probably going to be a miss again. But the simplicity of the platform is pretty great. And you go in, you can check out your settings. Again, there's not a lot of stuff to check. Do you want to minimize your data usage? Well, you can do that there. Or you can go in and check the details of your account. And here's where you can check out the different kinds of subscriptions that are available. As you can see, I have the $4.99 subscription that gets me ad supported, which means they're going to run ads during my episodes. Now, I don't find it to be too much of a distraction or an interruption. It's less than Hulu, generally speaking, so I don't find that the episodes themselves have ads. It's an ad runs at the beginning and at the end of the episode, and if you're paying attention, you could probably skip out of the one at the end by just going to the next episode before it rolls into the ad. But the one at the beginning is unavoidable, and I almost don't notice. They're usually 30-second ads, and I would say, because the platform is geared at younger people, I do find that they're products that I'm interested in. Maybe not ones I'd actually use, but stuff that interests me, whether it's for work or for personal. It's stuff I like. So, unlike other platforms, I'm not getting served stuff like Benefiber and that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit better. But you do have the option of the $7.99 a month plan where you can just skip ads altogether, and it's completely an ad-free service. And after that, you pop back to the main screen and you are ready to watch whatever show it is that you're coming to Quibi to watch. Now, what shows should you watch? Well, that is going to be the subject of our next couple of episodes, so make sure you come back for those episodes. YouTube isn't exactly Quibi, and it's not great on the push notifications, but if you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you hit the notification bell. That'll let you know when there's a new video available. And of course, if you're listening in podcast form, that new episode is going to pop up right in your podcast feed. Just make sure you're subscribed. If you liked me talking about Quibi, I actually talked about a different service, and that's AMC's A-List, and I did a review of that, and you can find that video here. But I have a ton of other content on the channel, so make sure that you check that out. If you're looking for more from me, you can find me on all your social networks, including TikTok, at Robert N. Cheek. And of course, there's plenty of other stuff available at robertncheek.com, including links to everything, the books that I've written, the YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/RobCheek, and everything else that I've done. So thank you for joining me for this very special episode of the Everyman Movie Review. I hope that you come back in the next couple weeks while we talk about the content available on the Quibi platform. So until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.